Before the automobile became part of everyday American life, the roads were quieter. A horse pulled a wagon through the countryside. Farmers traveled for hours to reach the nearest town. In the growing cities, streetcars and bicycles carried people from place to place. The automobile existed, but for most ordinary families, it was a strange and expensive machine. Then, in a small Michigan community, a farm boy began asking a question that would change the world. Why should a machine that could move without horses belong only to the rich? His name was Henry Ford. He was not born into wealth. He did not attend a famous university. He did not inherit a great industrial empire. He grew up on a farm, surrounded by fields, animals, tools, and the hard rhythm of rural life. But from an early age, Ford was fascinated by machines. And eventually, that fascination would lead to something extraordinary. He would help transform the automobile from a luxury into a product millions of ordinary people could afford. But Henry Ford's story is more complicated than the famous image of a brilliant inventor. His life was filled with ambition, extraordinary achievements, controversial ideas, enormous wealth, and difficult contradictions. This is the story of the poor farm boy who helped put America on wheels. And it begins long before the roar of the modern automobile. Henry Ford was born on July 30, 1863, during one of the most turbulent periods in American history. The United States was in the middle of the Civil War. Ford's birthplace was a farm near Dearborn, Michigan, an area that at the time was largely rural. His father, William Ford, was an Irish immigrant who had built a life through farming. Young Henry grew up learning the discipline of farm work. But the fields did not completely capture his imagination. Machines did. While other children might have looked at a watch and simply seen something that told time, Ford wanted to understand what made it work. When he was still a teenager, he reportedly began taking apart watches and studying their mechanisms. He was fascinated by the relationship between gears, springs, motion, and energy. There was something almost mysterious about a machine. It could take a simple force and transform it into useful movement. And Ford wanted to understand that mystery. At 16, Ford left the family farm and traveled to Detroit to work as a machinist's apprentice. The transition was enormous. He had grown up in a world of soil and animals. Now he entered a world of metal, engines, factories, smoke, and mechanical precision. Detroit was beginning to develop into an industrial center. For Ford, it was like stepping into the future. He learned how machines were built. He learned how metal behaved under pressure. He learned how engines worked. And perhaps most importantly, he learned that great machines did not have to remain mysterious. They could be understood. They could be improved. They could be built more efficiently. After several years, Ford returned to the family farm, but the machines had already captured his imagination. He eventually worked with the Westinghouse Company servicing steam engines. Then came another important chapter. In 1888, Ford married Clara Bryant. The couple eventually settled in the Detroit area, and Ford took a position with the Edison Illuminating Company. There, he worked around electrical equipment and became deeply interested in the internal combustion engine. The world was entering a technological revolution. Electricity was spreading. Factories were becoming more sophisticated. Engineers were experimenting with new forms of transportation. And Ford believed the gasoline-powered automobile could become something much more important. But he had a problem. He had to build one. During the 1890s, Ford spent his spare time experimenting with gasoline engines. His first successful automobile, known as the quadricycle, was completed in 1896. It did not look like the elegant automobiles we recognize today. It was essentially a lightweight frame with bicycle-like wheels and a small gasoline engine. There was no polished luxury body, no modern dashboard, no comfortable cabin. It looked almost fragile. But when Ford started the engine and the machine moved under its own power, something important had happened. A young engineer had created a vehicle that could travel without horses. Ford later continued experimenting and eventually built racing cars. Racing brought attention. It also brought investors. Ford understood something crucial. Building one automobile was impressive, But building thousands of automobiles would require an entirely different way of thinking. In 1903, the Ford Motor Company was established. The automobile business was about to enter a new era. Then came the machine that changed everything. The Ford Model T was introduced in 1908. Ford did not invent the automobile. That distinction matters. Automobiles already existed. Other companies were producing them. What Ford helped revolutionize was the way automobiles were manufactured and sold. The Model T was designed to be relatively simple, durable, practical, and suitable for ordinary roads. It was not intended to be a glamorous toy for millionaires. It was meant to work. Farmers could use it. Shopkeepers could use it. Doctors could use it. Workers could use it. Families could use it. And Ford wanted to produce enormous numbers of them. That ambition led to one of the most important developments in industrial history, the moving assembly line. At Ford's Highland Park plant in Michigan, the company increasingly organized production around specialized tasks and moving parts. Instead of one worker building much of an automobile, the manufacturing process was divided into repeated operations. One worker might attach a particular component. Another would perform another task. The vehicle moved through the factory as workers performed their specialized jobs. The idea did not appear from nowhere. Other industries had used forms of assembly production before Ford. But Ford's company developed the system on a massive scale and combined it with careful standardization, interchangeable parts, specialized machinery, and an enormous production system. The result was astonishing. Cars could be produced faster. Costs could fall. And as production increased, the price of the Model T became increasingly accessible to ordinary Americans. In 1913, Ford introduced a moving assembly line for automobile production at Highland Park. The transformation was dramatic. A process that once took much longer could now be completed in a fraction of the time. The factory became a carefully coordinated machine of its own. Metal moved. Workers moved. Parts arrived. Engines were assembled, bodies were fitted, and eventually, automobiles rolled out of the factory in astonishing numbers. America was changing, but there was another part of Ford's industrial strategy that became famous. In 1914, Ford announced a dramatic increase in wages for many of his workers, bringing the widely publicized daily wage to $5 under the company's new profit-sharing system. At first glance, it seemed generous. But there was another side. The assembly line could be exhausting. The repetitive work was physically and mentally demanding. Worker turnover was a major problem. Higher wages helped Ford attract and retain workers. They also created a remarkable new economic possibility. The worker could become a consumer. The factory employee making automobiles might eventually be able to afford one. The machine was producing the product. The worker was earning money, and the same worker could become part of the expanding automobile market. This was more than a business decision. It became part of a new industrial culture. The Model T changed American life. It connected rural communities to towns and cities. It gave families greater freedom of movement. It helped reshape roads, businesses, farms, suburbs, and patterns of work. A person no longer had to live within walking distance of a railway station or streetcar line. The automobile created a new sense of personal mobility. America began stretching outward. Gas stations appeared. Road networks expanded. Hotels, restaurants, roadside stores, repair shops, and tourist destinations followed. The automobile was no longer simply a machine. It was becoming part of American culture. By the time Model T production ended in 1927, more than 15 million had been produced. That number is difficult to imagine. 15 million vehicles emerging from a manufacturing system that had transformed industrial production. Ford had not simply built cars. He had helped build an entirely new way of life. Over time, Henry Ford became almost larger than life. The popular story was simple. A poor farm boy loved machines. He built a car. He invented the assembly line. He made automobiles affordable. And he changed America. There is truth in that story. But history is rarely so simple. Ford was a brilliant industrial organizer, but he was not the sole inventor of the assembly line. He was also an intensely controlling businessman. He demanded enormous loyalty from employees. His company maintained strict supervision over workers' personal lives during parts of his career. Ford's ideas about society and politics could also be deeply controversial. He promoted conspiracy theories and published anti-Semitic material through the newspaper he controlled. His public reputation therefore contains a difficult contradiction. The same man who helped democratize personal transportation also expressed ideas that caused real harm. To understand Ford honestly, we have to hold both realities at the same time. Unlike ancient civilizations whose stories are reconstructed from broken pottery and buried cities, Ford's industrial world left behind an enormous physical record. Factories still exist. Automobiles survive in museums and private collections. Engineering drawings, photographs, advertisements, company records, tools, machinery, and preserved buildings allow historians to reconstruct how Ford's industrial system worked. The Ford Paquette Avenue plant in Detroit is especially important because it is associated with the early development and production of the Model T. The Highland Park Ford plant reveals another chapter in the evolution of mass automobile manufacturing. And Ford's childhood home and surrounding historic sites help place his story within the rural environment that shaped him. These places are more than tourist attractions. They are physical evidence of a transformation. The machines, buildings, tools, and surviving vehicles show how quickly America moved from an agricultural society toward an industrial and automobile-centered economy. But perhaps the most fascinating question is not how Ford built millions of cars. It is why he became so obsessed with making them affordable. Ford believed that mass production could lower prices. He believed ordinary people should have access to useful technology. But he also understood something every successful industrialist eventually discovers. A product becomes powerful when millions of people want it. Ford's genius was partly mechanical, but it was also organizational. He understood scale. He understood repetition. He understood standardization. And he understood that a factory could be designed almost like a living organism. Every part had to work with every other part. That concept would eventually influence industries far beyond automobiles. Appliances, electronics, aircraft, food processing, and countless other products would adopt forms of mass production. The modern industrial world owes much to this transformation. Yet progress always has a price. The assembly line increased productivity, but it also changed the experience of work. A skilled craftsman who once built more of an object could become a worker performing the same small task again and again. The factory became faster, but for many workers, it could also become more exhausting. This created one of the great questions of the industrial age. When machines make production more efficient, who benefits? The company? The worker? The customer? Or society as a whole? Ford's life never fully answered that question. Instead, it made the question impossible to ignore. As Ford grew older, the world around him continued changing. The Model T eventually became outdated. Consumers wanted more comfort, more style, and more choices. Ford's determination to continue producing the Model T for so long eventually became a weakness. In 1927, production finally ended. The automobile industry had moved on. Ford Motor Company continued, but the era of the Model T was over. Henry Ford died on April 7, 1947, at the age of 83. By then, the world he had helped create was almost unrecognizable compared with the Michigan farm of his childhood. Millions of automobiles traveled across American highways. Factories stretched across industrial cities. The automobile had become deeply embedded in everyday life, and Ford's name had become permanently connected with the age of mass production. So, what did Henry Ford actually revolutionize? It was not simply the automobile. It was the idea that complex technology could be produced on a massive scale and made available to ordinary people. Ford helped turn the automobile from a curiosity into a central part of American life. He helped demonstrate the extraordinary power of standardization and mass production. He helped create a new relationship between wages, manufacturing, consumption, and transportation. And perhaps most importantly, he showed what could happen when industrial ambition met a simple idea. Make it faster. Make it simpler. Make it cheaper. Make more of it. That philosophy would define much of the 20th century. Imagine Henry Ford as a young boy on his family's Michigan farm. The fields are quiet. The wind moves through the grass. There are no giant factories, no highways, no endless lines of automobiles. Just a boy looking at the world and wondering how things work. Perhaps that is where the story truly begins. Not in the factory, not with the Model T, not with the assembly line, but with curiosity. Ford's life reminds us that revolutions do not always begin with powerful people. Sometimes they begin with someone who refuses to accept that the world must remain the way it is. Henry Ford was not perfect. He was not the sole inventor of everything associated with his name, and some of his beliefs remain deeply troubling. But his impact cannot be denied. He helped transform the American landscape, the factory floor, the automobile industry, and the daily lives of millions. The farm boy from Michigan became one of the most influential industrialists in history. And perhaps the greatest lesson of his story is not about cars at all. It is about the power of an idea. A machine begins as a collection of metal parts. A factory begins as a collection of buildings. A business begins as a collection of people. But when those pieces are organized around a powerful idea, they can reshape an entire society. More than a century after the first Model T rolled away from a Ford factory, America is still living with the consequences of that revolution. Every highway, every suburban street, every long road trip, every factory producing millions of identical products. They carry echoes of the industrial world Henry Ford helped create. The boy who once wondered how a machine worked eventually built a system that changed how the world worked. And perhaps that is the most enduring mystery of Henry Ford. How can one person's curiosity become an engine of history? Sometimes, it begins with nothing more than a question. And sometimes, that question can move an entire nation.